Good morning, Keith Tebow, FRCmedia back with you. It's time to get an update. It's been a few weeks since we've spoken to a member of our House delegation in the State House in Boston. I'm pleased to be joined by, I guess he's the dean of the delegation now, State Representative Paul Schmid. Representative Schmid, how are you?
Well, my heavens, Keith, you're right. I actually am the dean. How the heck did that happen?
I don't.
Well,
Well, it's just it's just circumstances, I guess. I
well,
hope.
time flies when you're having fun, and I can't believe that I am already in my sixth term. I'm so blessed and so appreciative to be able to do this. And great to be
Well,
on with you this morning, by the way, and talking about
thank
the
you.
budget. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about the budget. The House last week passed a $47.7 billion budget for fiscal year 2022. And, I guess let me just ask you, this seems to be a little more of a normal budget year based on years last year when, the state didn't pass the budget until sometime in the fall. So what was that like having some sort of a normal process?
Well, it certainly, well, number one, it came right on the heels of creating, or it felt as though it was coming right on the heels of creating the budget for this year, fiscal year 2021. But it was good. It was good to be able to have a more normal process. Our chair of House Ways and Means, and of course, both Rep. Sylvia and I are very happy and honored to serve on Ways and Means, which creates the budget. But our chair, Aaron Michaelwitz, just did a masterful job of listening to every representative so that the budget that we create really does reflect the needs of our districts. And I think this one represents well the needs of Fall River.
Let's get into that a little bit in terms of, what it could mean for the city of Fall River. Last year with COVID, there was a lot of unknowns about revenue. Revenue appears to be sort of on track this year, even ahead of estimates for the fiscal year. So what are some of the things that people in Fall River may be able to maybe pick out of the House budget? And again, the Senate still needs to vote on its budget, then, reconciliation process. But as things go, how do things look in terms of what Fall River may be able to gain out of at least the House budget that was approved last week?
Yeah, well, you're right, Keith. This is the House budget, and now we pass it over to the Senate, and Senator Rodrick, who's chair of Ways and Means, will play a pivotal role in the Senate. And then members of the House and the Senate will get together and combine the two budgets and send it on to the governor before the end of June, we hope. And so the process still has 3 or 4 months to go. But I think we can say that the House budget does some good things for Fall River. Number one, I would say, is the funding of the Student Opportunity Act. You may remember, because we talked about it a lot, a year and a half ago, in a historic vote, the House voted to bring the spending in Fall River per student up about 50% over the next 6 years. This is an amazing increase in investment in education. This current year, fiscal 2021, which was the pandemic budget, we were not able to make the sizable step forward. We did put in an inflation increase for education, but we couldn't take that step to bring us up over 6 years to the full increase. But the good news is that we're able to do that for fiscal year 2022. And that just means more money for our teachers, more money to invest in social services at the schools. So to me, that's the most important thing in our budget next year for Fall River. Education, big commitment, big investment.
And I know that, in terms of local aid for a city like Fall River, I believe there's also a little bit of a boost in there that will help, general government expenses, public safety, and the like. Talk about how the city in general will gain.
Sure. No, yeah, local aid actually got a very nice increase. I think something like close to 3%. And that, as you've pointed out, goes to funding our police, our firefighters, our public works, all the folks who provide the services that people in Fall River have come to depend on. So that is a nice increase. We're very happy about that. We also got a nice increase for our regional transportation. We call that the RTA, Regional Transportation Authorities. And here in Fall River, we're served by SRTA, the South Coast Regional Transportation Authority, which do a great job, by the way. They're an innovative bunch, and we were able to get a nice increase in funding for them so that they can continue to try to expand their service later into the night and also on weekends. We know that so many folks depend on the bus for transportation to work and transportation to Bristol Community College, where we're broadcasting this morning from the studios at Bristol Community College. So buses are pretty essential, and both for work and for education. So we count that as a plus.
Let me ask you, as the Ways and Means Committee, which you said, of course, you and Representative Sylvia, both members of, we're looking at formulating the budget. Obviously, state and, city governments are seeing an influx in funds because of COVID, because of the American Recovery Plan that was passed earlier this year. How much of that was taken into consideration? Because there's still, I believe, some unknowns in terms of how the state and local governments can spend those dollars.
Well, that's right, Keith. We're being very careful about not mixing the federal money in to our state budget, because we don't want to start funding programs that we will only have to cut after the federal money goes away. So we'll be using that money for one-time efforts, primarily around still dealing with COVID. But we don't want to set us up for cuts that come after the federal money goes away.
Yeah, I want to ask also about the process of passing the budget. I remember reading the article last week about the final passage of the budget, and if my memory serves me right, it's not a hard number to forget. It was 160-0. The budget passed unanimously, something we don't see in terms of bipartisanship on many other levels of government. So talk about how well this was received generally by the entire House membership.
Well, you're right. We did pass the budget unanimously, 160-0, 160-0. And I think that just reflects the state of politics here in Massachusetts. I think all of us are so tired of the fighting that goes down in Washington. And all of us just say, gosh, if only they would just concentrate on taking care of us rather than scoring points. Here in Massachusetts, although we still have, certainly politics enters into it, and it should. That's the democratic process, having give and take and debate. But the give and take in the debate really is focused on taking care of people in Massachusetts. And we've always said, and I think this is a good example, that in Massachusetts, we tend to work for the people. And It doesn't matter. You know, an idea isn't a Republican idea or a Democratic idea. If it's a good idea, then we try to get behind it. And I think the House budget is a good reflection of that. It just makes you, frankly, it makes me proud to be part of the House. And we really respect the leadership of our new Speaker, Speaker Mariano, who has continued this process of trying to listen to both sides.
Yeah. And finally, let me just give you the opportunity to speak about any other initiatives that you've been working on behalf of Fall River. Under the new term that just began for you back in January. What some updates you can give to your constituents here in Fall River in the 8th Bristol District?
Yeah, thanks very much, Keith. And I do want to mention a couple of other items in the budget. We got $15 million for Head Start. And we have, Citizens for Citizens runs a wonderful Head Start program here in Fall River. And we all know that early education is so important. It's the bedrock that all future education is based on. And getting kids into a learning environment at the age of 3 and 4 is so important. We wish we could do it for all 3 and 4-year-olds. Head Start has a long waiting list, but we did make an important investment for Fall River and Head Start. Also, we were able to continue funding the HIP program, the Healthy Incentives program. That's the program where if you are enrolled in SNAP, or what we used to call food stamps, if you go to a farmer's market and buy healthy local food, you're able to actually get a benefit, an increased benefit on your SNAP benefits. So that's a program that brings healthy, locally raised foods into our urban districts. It's a win-win, and we're just delighted that Massachusetts is a leader on that program.
Yeah. All right, State Representative Paul Schmid, as always, I appreciate your time, and we'll talk again soon to get an update for people in the 8th Bristol District. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I always enjoy being on with you, Keith. Thank you very much to FRCmedia. Thank you.
All right, take care. And thank you for joining us here on FRCmedia. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great rest of your day.